The year 1947 marked the end of British colonial rule in India. It also marked the birth of two new nations, India and Pakistan. This historic event was marred by violence and displacement. The partition led to one of the largest mass migrations in human history. Millions were forced to flee their homes, crossing newly drawn borders. It ignited deep-seated religious tensions. The seeds of conflict took root in mistrust and animosity. Tensions were exacerbated by the unresolved fate of princely states. The Maharaja of Kashmir delayed his decision to join India or Pakistan. This dispute over Kashmir became the heart of the India-Pakistan conflict. The partition and Kashmir conflict left an indelible mark on both nations. The unresolved status of Kashmir led to the first full-blown war between India and Pakistan in 1947. Tribesmen from Pakistan's northwest frontier province, aided by Pakistani forces, invaded Kashmir. Their aim was to wrest control of the region from the Maharaja and force its accession to Pakistan. The Maharaja, facing an imminent collapse of his forces, signed the Instrument of Accession with India, seeking military assistance. Indian troops were airlifted to Srinagar, the capital of Kashmir, pushing back the invading forces. What followed was a bloody conflict fought over treacherous mountainous terrain. The war lasted for over a year and ended with a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations in January 1949. The ceasefire line, known as the Line of Control, divided Kashmir into Indian-administered Kashmir and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. This division, however, did little to resolve the underlying issues. The 1947-48 war solidified the dispute over Kashmir. It also marked the beginning of a long and bitter rivalry between India and Pakistan. The second major war between India and Pakistan erupted in 1965. This time the conflict was triggered by Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar, a covert operation aimed at infiltrating Indian-administered Kashmir and inciting an uprising against Indian rule. India responded with a full-scale military offensive, crossing the international border at Lahore. The 1965 war was characterized by intense tank battles, particularly in the plains of Punjab. Both sides deployed their air forces, engaging in fierce dogfights. The war witnessed the largest tank battle since World War II, highlighting the escalating military capabilities of both nations. After 17 days of fierce fighting, a UN-mandated ceasefire came into effect. The Tashkent Declaration, signed in January 1966, called for a withdrawal of troops to pre-war positions. However, the underlying issues remained unresolved. The 1965 war ended in a stalemate. It did little to change the territorial status quo in Kashmir. However, it had a profound impact on the relationship between India and Pakistan. The war further deepened mistrust and solidified the image of the other as an existential threat. The 1971 war marked a turning point in the history of South Asia. The conflict was sparked by a political crisis in East Pakistan, which is present-day Bangladesh. Widespread discrimination against Bengalis by the West Pakistani ruling elite led to a burgeoning independence movement in East Pakistan. India provided support to the Bengali nationalist movement, offering refuge to millions of refugees fleeing violence and oppression in East Pakistan. As the Pakistani army launched a brutal crackdown on the Bengali population, India decided to intervene militarily. The 1971 war witnessed swift Indian victories on both eastern and western fronts. Within 2 weeks, Indian forces, alongside the Mukti Bahini, which were Bengali freedom fighters, liberated Dhaka, the capital of East Pakistan. The war ended with the unconditional surrender of Pakistani forces in East Pakistan. The 1971 war resulted in the creation of Bangladesh, a new nation born out of the ashes of war. It also led to the surrender of over 90,000 Pakistani soldiers, the largest surrender of troops since World War II. This decisive Indian victory significantly altered the balance of power in South Asia.